Welcome back to another episode of Trades Secrets, Contractor Marketing Podcast, the contractor marketing podcast where we talk about all things contractor marketing. Okay, I am so giddy today. We are talking about something massive in our industry that kind of shakes things up and turns everything upside down, sort of.
In some ways, yeah. And in some ways, it just tells us what we already knew. So we've been a little slow to release something on this. It's been out for about a month now. We're talking about the Google leak. You can call it a lot of things, but we have been a little slow to immediately release something because there's 14,000 documents in here. There's a lot for people to go over. And Devin and I haven't read them personally, but we were allowing some of the smartest minds in our industry to really work through these and help summarize all of it so that when we start talking about it, we're not just taking guesses and, people have just peeked into it. We've had a whole month for people to really look at this.
Yeah, and there's been some interesting breakouts. So of those 14,000 APIs, only and that speaks to everything from YouTube videos to Google Maps, but 8,000 of those leaked APIs specifically pertain to Google search as we know it. So with that, today's topic is going to be diving into some takeaways for you guys, for contractors, things that you can talk to your agency about, or things that now that you can maybe do yourself if you're doing some of your own website management, and things that some best practices. Some of it is intuitive, you probably already knew, and some of it will be great new information. So
without much further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome to Trade Secrets, where we demystify digital marketing to help contractors get the most bang for their marketing bucks.
This is for you if you're a contractor looking for actionable marketing insights.
Learn from home services industry experts to elevate your business through simplified marketing strategies.
Let's dive into today's trade secret.
All right.
Okay. I do think we should say real quickly, anyone who's listening that isn't familiar with this, it has been all over the news, but perhaps it didn't make it into your feed. These documents were leaked by an ex-Google employee on May 5th, 2024. So it's all real fresh, and we know even Google has come out and admitted that these documents are in fact true. They were never meant to see the light of day. So there's a ton of information in here for us to really learn from and decide on. I'll lean on it to allow us to create our strategies and just let us know that we're doing things the way we always knew that we should be.
Well, they finally said something. That's what was so funny is they were leaked, and then the big bad Google beast, freaking crickets. They had nothing to say about it until they finally had to be they finally said, well, you shouldn't assume everything is accurate. What?
Yeah.
What? All right.
They said you shouldn't assume everything's accurate, but then they were also and it should be very relevant. You need to make sure that it's current, and basically, and they're no sense.
No,
and this is very fluffy.
Yeah, they're well, you got to make sure it's accurate, even though half the documents go directly against statements they've made where they did in fact blatantly lie about ranking factors. So all right, so what was in these documents? What was in these these APIs? What did we learn? And some of the stuff, you guys, it's things you already knew, or things if you're working with an SEO agency or website developer, they already knew. Even as customers, we assume that when we're using Chrome, you're following us, you're collecting data. We just assume that. I think we all assume that because there used to be Google that lived inside of Firefox or Internet Explorer. And then one day they're it's actually not enough. We need to get our own browser because we actually need to incorporate that data into our products and then how that affects users and what we serve to you. And, it's all about, at the end of the day, how do we get more advertisers and line our pockets? I mean, the user experience. That's truly what Google cares about. Anyways.
So it's not data mining at all.
No. So I think, I think we knew that the DuckDuckGo was an alternate search engine that was introduced a couple years ago that takes your privacy extremely seriously. So it's the API tells us that Chrome was collecting our clickstream data is what it's called. Yeah.
it's kind of the price of doing business. We all know it. And and we're all even aware when we see ads following us around online. Sometimes I don't even care. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
That was in my shopping cart and I forgot to buy it. Thanks for the reminder, Google. So it's not all bad, and it's stuff that we all like see in our daily life, but it's interesting to see it in black and white from Google when they've always done that kind of just skating around the answer. And they're always also able to point to the fact that they just want to make sure no one can game the system. They, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
their product is search. So they need to make sure that everybody doesn't just have the blueprint and they can't just cheat at it. But also, we as SEOs and you as business owners spend so much time and money trying to play by their rules. It's just nice to maybe to have a little bit of insight into what we're doing right, maybe where we're missing, and just to know that what's happening behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, we always, SEOs, it's like you can follow best practices, but like the best SEOs are out there testing theories, testing data, and really monitoring the results when these like tweaks and changes are made. You can't do a whole bunch at one time because you want to see which one has the most impact on positioning. So that is how like the best SEOs kind of discover their little secret cookbook for different customer types and different markets. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of the benefits of going with a niched agency in your industry, because it's not all apples to apples. Like one of the things that was
no,
interesting when
yeah.
you and I were going through, we were pouring over videos, guys, and articles before we started recording this, just kind of like nerding out on it and talking about things. And then some of the stuff that we were kind of cracking up, that we're like, yeah, that might be the case for some huge e-commerce site, but we know good and well from our own data sets that that doesn't necessarily, that some of the things that are in these documents don't necessarily apply to some of our exterior contractors or our plumbers or our landscapers. That, so to your point, it's SEOs need to be continuously testing, and just because it's in this document doesn't mean it's the Bible and we all have to just stick to it.
All right, so we are going to dive in and talk about, let's see here, I think we've got like 10 factors that we want to try and cover. And so the first one is Nav Boost. This was something that was mentioned over 84 times in this, or no, not over, it was mentioned 84 times in this leak, and it seems pretty critical to positioning. What's interesting is that it takes up to 13 months of a user's past click behavior and factors that into like those navigational query rankings. So, and navigational queries are like if you're looking for something specific, like roofing contractor or like siding installation, kind of very specific navigational queries. That's where Nav Boost is used for what is served up in the search results. And how we knew this, again, this is one of those like we knew, but it wasn't confirmed. We know that each user is served different SERPs based on obviously location, but your frequency, where you go, the types of websites you like, all of that is kind of part of this Nav Boost algorithm and the search, I guess the search rankings that you're shown specifically. But what's interesting here is that within this leak is knowing that it's 13 months of your click data that's used to factor in what ranks on Google for you specifically for these navigational queries. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was a good one. And then that ties into number 2, where we talk about clickstream data, which is like a broader picture. And you and I were talking about this off base. We were just talking about this with clients last week about
Yeah.
how this impacts like your overall marketing strategy, not just SEO. You want to talk about
Exactly.
that?
I mean, and it should impact anyway. So clickstream is really looking at people's click path through your site, their behavior. So looking at how they're engaging with your site, and that's impacting your ranking. So if people are coming to your site, they're really engaging with your content, they're going 3 pages in, they're reading a blog post, they're taking action, they're interacting with a calculator, that is showing Google that your page is engaging and sticky, and they're more likely it's going to improve your search rankings. So that's something that we're always working towards with our clients anyway, because you want to have a page. You want, that's the whole reason we want people there anyway. It's just interesting to see that Google's grading us on that too. that it's not just us trying to get people to stay on our website. Google cares too.
Well, you were saying on page, but it's like it's impacted. The clickstream is like everything that you do on Chrome is logged within the stream. So not how you got to a website is important. Like, did you come from an email newsletter? Did you come from like a social media post? So we knew that social signals are part of a broader SEO strategy. We know that engagement on social media is a good thing, but what we weren't totally confirmed on is if links from social media channels through to your website had as much impact on, say, just like having a blog live on Facebook itself and having that clicked on and looked at. I mean, I guess that's the same thing
Yeah. But no, it
as I
is.
like
It's
say it
just,
out
it's
loud.
really,
But yeah.
but it's just so interesting because it is something that we're constantly working on, but it's kind of a nice reminder to us that like of that whole ecosystem and why it matters. And it was interesting. Rand Fishkin, when he was kind of going through all this stuff, one of the videos we watched, he was talking about how they'd moved towards writing newsletters that just kept you in the newsletter environment, like gave you all the information you'd need, so you don't have to take action. You can digest all of his information and move on. And he's like, this is reminding us that we need to link back to the website and send people to the website to give those signals to Google. So this is, it's kind of been it really has been a best practice for a long time for us, but it's good to know that there's a greater good to it. It's not just, let's try to get a couple leads out of your newsletter. Google cares about that, and Google's rewarding us for those efforts.
Yeah, so coming from social newsletters, even your like a link from your email signature, all of those things, all of that is kind of part of that clickstream sphere that like leads them to your site. And so having it does make sense with what we're doing. I mean, right, there's like, I mean, you're backlink building on these pages, but I guess that leads into the next point. This is a great spot for another lesson learned, which again, we already knew, but toxic backlinks, right? So it's not, we knew old
Mm-hmm.
timey SEO, like 2000 SEO was like, oh, you have to have 10,000 backlinks. And even now it kills me that there's all these like spammy forum fills that are like, I'll get you 5,000 backlinks for $20, whatever that is. But some people left that because it's just this high quantity of backlinks. And the leak did say toxic backlinks do affect your ranking, which we knew, but they
It was
confirmed
nice to
it.
see it straight from there. Because it was even like we had a new client recently that came in and we had to clean up a bunch of backlinks. And I remember the day you were doing it that we were like, oh God, like we know these are bad, but like here we go. We're about to delete a lot of backlinks. Like the number's going to go down dramatically.
Thousands.
Is this going to hurt us? And it didn't. But like to see that from Google. So now, and obviously we have our own data set. We just did, that was the largest one we'd ever had to do. So it's good
Yeah.
to know next time someone comes on board, we're not going to be at all afraid to just hit that button and delete those backlinks.
Yeah, disavow those backlinks, get rid of
Disavow
them
them.
because
Yeah.
so then tied into the toxic backlinks, this leads very nicely into number 4, which is the anchor text spam. So a lot of times, like if you bought a backlink or say it was I don't know, even if it was a free backlink or something, but what we saw with this one client who had thousands of really toxic backlinks, when we would click through to some of those sites, one of them in particular was like a dating website, and within the text of this weird dating article, it was like citing Installation Atlanta or something, something like that, a clear like anyway. So that anchor text was used on all these backlinks, all these spammy backlinks everywhere. So that's what like a spammy anchor, like an anchor text spam is just using that certain phrase linked on another site that then points to your website. That is, you can get dinged for that, which we had made that assumption, off our own data set. But again, it's one of those things that gets confirmed because a lot of times, I think you guys, specifically contractors, just get hammered with like guest post blogs, which turns out those are not helpful to you. It's got to be a high domain authority website that's pointing to
With a
you
ton of traffic.
with a
Yeah.
ton of traffic to their site, because it could actually hurt you. Not only does it not help you, but it hurts you. That stuff we kind of all we knew, but it's nice to have it confirmed. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. And then this feeds into the next one really well too. The keto score, which is really interesting that we there's mention of it in there. It's very vague, so it required some digging, and there's a lot of people out in the SEO community kind of guessing at what it means. But we went to Gemini herself, and she gave us a little bit of direction here. But the keto score is another one where it's looking at how your brand is aligned with other high authority brands in your industry. So if it's your top manufacturer, James Hardy, Gaff, whatever it may be, mentions of your brand out there on the web, and they don't have to be text links, which is interesting because we're always so worried about getting those backlinks. We're not going to tell you to stop getting them if you're sponsoring a local team or something like that, and you can get it. But if it's not linked, it can still very much, those mentions online can very much have a positive impact on your search rankings, which is really great to have affirmation on.
It seems like there's a little bit of a gray area here because we see what they're saying, but we know like in practice, for example, I love that you mentioned like the kind of the local links to like a local sports team or some other nonprofit. Even though we know those sites are not getting a ton of traffic, they do have like a massive relevance, like geographically. So they do, and we've seen it. We've seen it with our own clients where we implement this kind of strategy. It does have an impact though. So even though those sites have low traffic and probably, maybe not like the highest domain authority, some of them do. If you can get like a .edu backlink, honey, get it.
Mm-hmm.
But that geo relevance, it is a thing. So, we have to, I guess, like toe the line here when a toxic backlink is something that has nothing to do with the service you offer. It has nothing to do with the areas that you serve or want to serve. So, and it could have a really, really poor DA, or it could have a real domain authority, or it could have a really, really high domain authority, like these porn sites that have like a domain authority of like 85. And that's where our poor client had thousands of these types of links. So that's why that's kind of top of mind there. But those are toxic. But like the small businesses in your area, the nonprofits that you're supporting, that you sponsor something, they throw a logo up on their site. Please don't mistake those for being toxic. But
yeah,
when you get those form fills that are like, oh, I want to, a guest blogging feature, like, meh.
Nah.
Yeah,
not worth the squeeze. Not worth the squeeze. But with those the entity mentions, it was just interesting to find out that we were all so link focused for so long, and that Google's smart enough now to even suss that out. If your name is listed on a legit local website and there isn't an actual text link there or anchor link, it can still have a really positive impact on your local search rankings. But get that link anyway.
Yeah, go get that one.
Ooh, and another huge one was page titles.
This one, all right. If we put you to sleep, wake up. This one is freaking crazy. You can check it yourself. You can do this one. So every single page on your website has a title. That title has site-wide ranking implications, not page-specific ranking implications, but every single title on your website has a ranking implication with Google. That is massive. So that means if you have pages that are like in the sandbox, they weren't meant to see the light of day, or something that's meant to be no index, like landing page for home show, something like that, and that's part of what's being indexed by Google. All of that has a role to play in your entire website's ranking, not just that page's ranking and positioning on Google. Mind blown.
Yeah, mind blowing. So huge takeaway here: clean up those page titles. Make sure they're relevant. Make sure that they are really well thought out. And the other thing that, like, the kind of underlying thing that everyone's kind of been chattering about is that, whoa, page titles are so important, but oh my gosh, that's like, of all the classic SEO, like just check mark things that we've always talked about, that was the only thing that was consistently listed through these documents. All the other stuff that we've all, we've known they were sleeping on it a little bit more, but the page title's where it's at. So if you're only focusing on one thing on your on page, like, I mean, that might be an overstatement, but like if you only have a little bit of time, page titles is a great place to start.
Yeah. And then what's crazy with this too, okay, so now you're all going to go in and you're going to update your page titles and you're going to make sure that they definitely name the service that you provide and where you provide it. And you're going to make sure it has a great keyword phrase match, even though like some people say like that's old timey SEO to have an exact keyword phrase match, whatever. User intent, they can, the algorithm is smart enough now to understand user intent and what's implied in implied meetings. So we don't have to have an exact phrase match with keywords, but whatever. Have a fully optimized title. But here is another leak that is like mind blowing. So not only do page titles matter, got that. Page titles, site-wide implications for ranking on everything, got it. But get this one: the past 20 revisions
20
on your site, the past 20 revisions from your website have a ranking factor. There are ranking implications. Like,
What? Yeah. Yeah. Like, your past follows you, people.
Yeah. The blockchain is real. The blockchain is real. Yes. So this is freaking crazy. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us you should do? That you should consistently be updating the cornerstone, like pillar content on your website. And we do this.
Always be improving. Yeah.
I like ABI. And I think we do a really good job of this with our clients. I think we're consistently like, you know what, we need more FAQs. We need to add
a gallery or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We need to add most recently, well, now rolling on to the next one, but like new images, video, reviewing anchor text, making, all those things. But your primary service pages, you should be making improvements, I would say consistently, like, I don't know, at least touching one service page once a week, I would say, and improving it would be fair. And just keep that in mind. The past 20 revisions of your site have a ranking, a role in your ranking on Google, like crazy, which ties into, I think we mentioned sandboxing and Google. This, and the leak confirmed, they do sandbox new websites. Now, we've always known this with our own data sets. Once you launch a new website, you're going to see a dip. You'll see a dip in organic traffic.
Exactly. We always called it a dip. We didn't call it a sandbox. We didn't know it was that extreme. We knew it was like Google was going to be like, what do I do with you for a second? But the fact that they even use the terminology sandbox in those documents is like, wow, it really is like you get put on a little shelf for a minute. We don't know for how long. It's probably, we don't think it's that long. It probably, a lot of these other ranking factors probably determine how quickly they forgive you, but you're straight in the sandbox.
You sandboxing son of a
bitch.
Son of a bitch. You sandboxing son of a bitch. So this is crazy. So what we've seen traditionally is 30 days. I mean, we've seen 30 days where we see a site you can be organic traffic is up here, and then we see a massive dip, and then it recovers in month 2. I think across all of our sites, that's exactly what we've seen, and it's been 30 days. And some of them have newer domains. Some of them had, 16-year-old domains, super high domain authority, which is kind of, they do talk about that in the leak too, but we don't need to get that far into it. I would love to nerd out on this. Anyone want to nerd out on this? Call me. But we have seen everything across the board, from a domain rating of 0 to a domain rating or a DA or DR of, up to, like, I think the highest one of our clients has had is like a 40. And same thing, they all still see the dip. Some of them have an aged domain, some of them do not. So I really think it's safe to say, like, what we see is about 30 days. It's not 12 months. It's a good 30 days, and then we see nothing but like that upward trend, and that uptick in organic traffic, the uptick in organic keywords that you're ranking for. This leads into another excellent point that was leaked about ranking those. So say you do launch a new site and you do expect to see that dip because they're sandboxing sons of it, Anyway, so you see that dip. What we do know now, though, is like, get you some paid media spend. PPC, baby, PPC. They never admitted.
Yeah.
They never admitted it fully, but data sets
tell
implied.
us that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were reading all over the place was like, yeah, so maybe just straight running search campaigns isn't paid search, and not driving a lot of engagement isn't going to have a positive impact. But if you're running a successful campaign and you're driving people to strong assets where they're clicking around, they're engaging, it's playing into the larger click stream, they're bookmarking it and coming back to your ebook later, they're sharing it with someone, that plays a role in that click stream we were talking about earlier. So if executed properly, PPC can truly add to your online visibility.
We knew that though. We knew it.
Kim,
It's
Kim.
confirmed. I mean, come on. We knew Google is a narcissist. We've said that 1,000 times. They like Google likes Google. You want to give me a little money? I'll give you a little organic love because it, maybe a halo effect, maybe some implied trust, maybe that also lends itself to the clickstream thing we talked about before, kind of that ecosystem of clicks that gets people finally through to your website. It's all related. So again, a lot of it's implied, but now, just kind of it's confirmed. Oh my gosh, we got so excited. We added stuff. We really tried to like shorten our list because this can be overwhelming, but there's so many things that it's hard to cut ourselves short on this
I
one.
mean, I do have to point out that even at the beginning of this, we told you there were 10 factors, and we're already at 12. Or we're going to be at 12, and we might add a couple more before we're done. So where things are happening live here, but there's just so much to talk about, and it's also intertwined.
It is. So this next one kind of goes back to what we were talking about with judging your service pages and when you're not fixing, but when you're reviewing your page titles and reviewing your pillar content, and adding more content to those pages, add video content. Video content is a ranking factor. And not only video content, but video content on demand. So don't have your shit autoplay when people get to your site. They do not like that. And apparently the video on demand is considered a ranking factor. So get some sort of video, like some sort of multimedia, even images, different images, like you said, Amanda, gallery on those service pages of work performed. Like customers want to see that. And we know this from experience that really helps with conversions. That's kind of part of CRO, that conversion rate optimization. Cool, organic and SEO, we get you to the site, but that CRO is what gets them to click the button and submit their info. And you can do that with video and images. So again, we kind of thought of video and images in terms of CRO, but it is really interesting to see that like embedded on page video on demand is in fact a ranking factor. So if you have been delaying making video, let this be your sign to make more videos. It does not need to, yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many great like AI editors, AI, you guys
Canva,
have
whatever. Yeah.
you have
You're
the
already
best
making
work
stuff for your
too.
social. Like just make a video. Just put some music behind it, make it a little longer. You got a video. Like you don't have to pay somebody thousands of dollars to come out. You can do a little voiceover if you're camera shy. It's way easier to record something and then just put it over some still images and some B-roll of your beautiful work. Bada boom, bada bing, you got a video.
That's true. I love that. It's very simple. So yeah, so it's make video your priority if you can. And I also think with this, we haven't like dove into like the Google business profile specifics from the leak, like kind of the local side of things yet. But I suspect that if video is a ranking factor on page, then go into your Google business profile and upload vertically those like 30-second videos about your company. Now, we did learn, so the algorithm, the biggest one that they're on right now is eat, right? And like the toxic backlink thing, I think that was from the penguin update or the penguin algorithm. So we knew that, or it was penguin update. But anyway, Google business profile, video, talk about your company, talk like what's your USP, just say, hey, we're Elevation Marketing. We've been working in the home services industry, helping contractors with search engine optimization, paid media, website design and development for, over 15 years, blah, 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 blah. Amanda Joyce and Devin Hayes, we are the owners, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is. 30 seconds and then upload it to your Google business profile. If we know confirmed right now, we haven't, and Amanda and I have, approximately 14,000 more documents to review. No, not 14,000. We'll see what comes out. The next one we'll do will probably be focused on what we learned about local and maps. But if we know that now, I would imagine it would be the smartest thing to get those short videos and get them in real time from your phone with your IP, with your most frequented locations from your phone. We learn that it treats your mobile version and your desktop version, even though it's you logged in your Chrome. Those are viewed separately for your clickstream data. So what you're served on mobile is different than what you're served on desktop. And again, we've all experienced that, but like knowing that for a fact, like use your phone, go to those neighborhoods you want to work in, record your video and upload it, like, yeah. Look at these nuggets.
Do it.
Okay, video. We got, okay, number 11. Oh, all right.
This is one we've always kind of known, and we're really loving that Google's supporting our hypotheses.
Yes. So, something that's mentioned in the leak is called the site focus score, and that is what that ranks is the context of the content on your website. So if you are a roofing company and you you post about brunch places or something like that, the context of that content to the context of the rest of your entire site's content has an impact on how you rank in Google. So while I understand we see that oftentimes when you're trying to establish geo relevance, but knowing this now, this Google leak has confirmed if this does not make sense compared to the bulk of the content on your site, this is going to negatively impact your rankings in Google. Mm-hmm. So, and this is one where it's hard because we don't have our own set of data to match up against this. We've just seen it oftentimes when we're doing an SEO assessment. We're I see what happened. I know why you're not ranking. I know what's happening, but we don't have it with our own set of client data.
But it's just interesting because we see that sometimes when we're spying on competitors or whatever, we'll see where we're their strongest blog posts to the example you gave is a roofing company that's just listing all the best brunch places in their particular market. And sure, you can rank for that, but and Google's even ranking it, but then what's that? It seems as what we're finding from these documents is you're going to be penalized on the visibility you actually want. And who cares if you rank for the top brunch place around the corner from your office if you don't rank for your core service term? So maybe spend a little less time trying to game the system and write content that's going to shoot up to the top of the search rankings locally real quick, and focus a little harder on the content that's really going to support the overall theme of your website.
Yeah, definitely. And then, and I think that one's intuitive too for most people. I think it really makes sense.
Yeah, most of our clients, if we had the nerve to get on a call with them and say, hey, look at all these impressions you got for top brunch spot in your neighborhood, they'd be like, can you take this out of the report? I don't care. So most of you probably already freaking know that, but it's still just a good thing to know that about don't get distracted by trying to write all this content that's going to appeal to everyone. You're not a realtor. You're not trying to give everybody a recipe. Talk about what it is you're an expert at. Focus that time on the videos and all the content that's going to support the overall theme of your site and why you're such a badass at what you do and your EAT score, and forget about the other stuff.
And this, I think we knew this was a ranking factor because they had the Your Money, Your Life, YMYL updates where it was anything that had to do with your finances or your health. And if you were posting about that, but you were you said a realtor or something like that, then you would be negatively impacted because you don't have the authority, which is where EAT comes in. You don't have the authority to be posting about that. So it all ties together, and these are things we all knew, but again, it's just the confirmation is it's nice to have it in black and white, but that's why there's some chatter in the community where it's are you going to change your marketing strategy? Are you going to change things? And people are well, I've always done really good content with really strong like backlinks, and I only associate myself with like the best brands, manufacturers, etc. Like, so the kind of stuff that we already advise, the kind of stuff that people already do, it really is just affirming it. But there are some action items here that, we've kind of previously discussed.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
just gives us a little bit more like intentional focus. Like it
Yeah.
just gets us back to the basics and makes us realize that sometimes some of the other stuff that's kind of popping up that we're considering, like quiet the noise, stay the road, stay the course, keep doing what we know is best.
Last, maybe least, I don't, not least, but last, performance, website
Yeah.
performance.
Which again, it speaks to what we already knew, and we have already talked about how Google's big brothering us with Chrome. But it was very clear in the documents that Google is looking at your performance inside of Chrome, at your web performance, and it's weighing in on your rankings. So, site performance, load time, security, all that stuff. We already, Google gives us site grades, and we already know that this plays in, but it's just good to see it. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder that at the end of the day, we've got to have really fast, high quality websites that deliver what the end user is looking for, and Google rewards us accordingly. Like
Yeah. You
it's
get
just
rewarded if people like your website. So having a site people like matters, because, and this I think goes back to the clickstream, and we're talking about engagement and dwell time and interactions. And these are things we knew when last July, God, was it almost last? It was last July, where they sunsetted universal analytics and they forced us to use GA4, Google Analytics 4. They stripped away what we all used to know as bounce rate, and they put instead an engagement rate. That was like a big, like, hey, smoke signal, we're broadcasting to you, like, engagement matters. Like, engagement from your users matters, and it is a ranking factor. And they kind of did tell us. I mean, they kind of have told us that all
yeah,
along. Like, bounce rate's always been a thing, but now they measure it in engagement, and how it's measured on GA4 is a bit different, but still.
yeah. Well, and it is interesting too because you think about it. Like I'm sure it was a way too to back a little bit out of the bounce rate thing, where it doesn't always mean that someone's engaging with your site just because maybe they kept the tab open and your website's up on
Mhm.
their desktop. Like they want to know you're looking at it, you're scrolling it, you're engaging
Yeah.
it. It's not just leaving it sitting there.
And with clickstream, when you're in Chrome and you like click through and you kind of look at a site and then you exit out of it, it's monitoring, where did you go next? Did you just change your mind and start looking at did you go to a competitor of that same person? Did you go back to Google? Where did you go after you left a site? And
Exactly.
that has a factor on what you're then served in Google, and it has a factor on that previous site's ranking and positioning within Google. Why they wouldn't want that leaked is because now you can do a bunch of black hat SEO tactics and just really go to town trying to manipulate the clickstream for a competitor. So I can see why and that's the whole, why it's like cloak and dagger, smoke and mirror around their entire algorithm. It's specifically so super smart people don't go and cheat the system. Just like, I mean, nowadays, I don't know, we've talked about this with some clients, but how we knew click through rate mattered. That was CTR. We knew that was part of engagement, and it really always has been. But do you remember like talking through with clients, people who would do driving directions to and from like job sites, or go to a competitor's office, but then do driving directions to their own office and then stay longer? Well, it only works one time if you're on a 4G or 5G network, but if you can get a hold of like 3G phones, you can do that because it can't track you as an individual user, or your unique user. Or you look like a unique user instead of the same user multiple times, because it will only track your actions that one time, and then it kind of picks up on it's not a unique CTR, it's not a unique visit anymore, so it doesn't have the impact that it does the very first time you do that. So they have kept this protected because of how it can be
For exact
manipulated.
reasons like you just said, like where they're like,
Yeah.
come on, we're trying to actually monitor behavior so we can deliver a better product. We're not trying to monitor it so that's but in the amount of time it would take to get that 3G phone and go do that, you can just do white hat SEO and do good content. But it's
Do good content, like take great pictures, do video, have great page titles. So I don't know. There's so many more notes here, but I
Yes,
feel
there
like
are.
we are gonna start to get into the weeds if we stay on this.
I
If
agree.
we
I
stay
feel
on
like,
this a
and
bit
there could
longer.
be a part two. I definitely think we need to have one that's about local and maps.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll dig in a little bit more on a couple of the offshoots of these topics that they get a little more in the weeds, but we're not asking anybody to get an MBA in this right now. So I think this is a lot to digest. We hope you guys found it interesting. If there's something we skipped over or you wish we talked about more, let us know. We're more than happy to geek out on all of this and we could talk about it for hours, but we also want it to be relatable to your businesses and be something you guys actually want to consume.
Yeah, and this is early stages. Like we're all still just learning what these documents, like what's in it and what it all means. So we could have an update here. But this is, yeah, these are just some preliminary findings that we were so stoked to share with you. So ask us questions, hit us up. We would love to kind of answer your questions in a part two of this same series because there's going to be 8,000 documents on search alone. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So ask us your questions and we'll cover that and break it all down for you in what will be part two of who knows how many. Thanks for listening.
That was today's trade secret. Thanks for listening.
Did you find this helpful? We're just getting started.
Subscribe and don't miss our next reveal.
Until next time.